the Seahawks had their rookie minicamp over the weekend. And, Dave, you were out there taking a look at the happenings, what was going on out there.
Yeah, Dave, you were there.
Dave, you were there.
Saw it.
You saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was real.
It was. It was amazing. I had a nice little chat with Mr. and Mrs. Zabel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I told my wife, I go, yeah, I'm to the point now where I go down and talk to the parents of the kids. But, yeah, really nice people, just totally salt of the earth that you would expect.
Were they younger than you?
About the same age.
Okay.
Maybe a little younger.
Dad have a mustache?
He did not have a mustache.
Okay.
You can tell it was his dad, though. He does look a lot like him.
Was he holding a bush light?
Yeah, no, just really nice people. But, that was kind of one thing that stood out to me. Like, Pearson was telling me that they brought in like 41 extra guys. They have the free agents that they signed that were undrafted, plus the draft choices. And then they brought in, I think it was another 35, 40 guys.
And all are rookies, right? Are there any like free agents that are just getting a tryout out there that are veterans, or is it all?
I don't know that there were. I don't think many of those guys played. There was one guy out there that had actually played somewhere else, and we were talking about, and I can't remember what his name was, but he had actually played. So, yeah.
So he wasn't a rookie.
It's a mixture. He's not a rookie, yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, you were just trying to fill, spots, basically. They put helmets on every one of those guys, and they have a whole, all this technology to fit the right helmet and everything. They put some kind of thing that Mike thinks looks like a chainmail from when the day of the Knights or whatever, back in those days.
It does. You agreed to me.
Yeah, show it to Matt. See what he says. Okay. But yeah, I mean,
show it to our resident nerd.
Yeah, let's make sure it passes muster here. But yeah, I mean, just getting all of that together, it's just there was a ton of players out there. I mean, I think there was like 60. So, yeah, I mean, but then the other thing that kind of stood out, Bob, and this is something we always talk about, that, when you make that jump from college to the pros, it's totally different when you get to practice. And for Mike McDonald, it's like a big classroom, basically. And they didn't do a whole lot of live, they're not in pads or anything like that, 7-on-7 and stuff like that. There was a little bit of that, but mostly it was just teaching, just out there on the field. But you could see, man, and I think Benton, the line coach, Brent, showed us there was like a clip where he's like, that's not even close. No. Shorter step. No, this, that. And I was watching those guys work over there, those offensive linemen, and I'm like, yeah, I feel bad for them because their eyes are being opened right now to this is how it is in the NFL.
Yeah.
You have to take exact steps, and you have to, be lower. And, that was the biggest thing for me, was just lowering my hips and just realizing you have to play low. So, yeah, it was that kind of stuff. It was pretty impressive. Everything went well. I would say this for Mike McDonald. Last year, when they had the rookie minicamp, it was a bit of a cluster. Mm-hmm. There's guys running around and, disorganization, and this thing was run really tightly. And, yeah, it looked good. There was a couple of guys that I looked at out there that a couple of linebackers. De'Eric Jackson, the kid from Kentucky, he's got kind of an unusual body type, but he looked really good. And if you go and look at his film at Kentucky, good player. And then the other guy, Jackson, I'm blanking on his last name because I lost my roster. Damn it, I had it, and I was writing notes on it. But, yeah, his first name is Jackson. He's out of UNLV. And it was the guy that Moyer talked about, inside linebacker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is kind of important because, they don't really have a lot of depth there as far as, they didn't really address that as much. But yeah, I mean, you could see a couple of guys stand out, but mostly it's like walk-through stuff and everything. So it looked to me like they got a lot done. But it's quite a feat for like the equipment guy, Eric Kennedy. I mean, he's got to fit all of those guys, and most of them probably won't be back. So, but yeah, you just looking at the offensive linemen and watching them, they're kind of lost right now. So I think it would be hard to judge what you saw, but yeah, it was a kind of a theme of big, nasty dudes, including our guy Nick Emanwari, who is just looks like Cam Chancellor out there.
Yeah, yeah. Is he verbal like Spoon? Is he out there talking, or is he?
I didn't see a lot of that.
Okay,
didn't see a lot of that, and I don't know if Spoon talked right away. I think, after he started
Sure, I felt like
playing.
he started talking the second his name was called in the draft. But back to the O-line, Mike McDonald was talking afterwards and breaks down exactly what he saw from the O-line draft picks out there.
Yeah, it was a great group overall. Really excited about our draft picks. Hard to tell if I could give it a fair evaluation right now, but you can see the skill set, see the movement, see the things we've seen on tape, see the attitude. We'll work the finish and all the stuff when that becomes time, but a really good first step with those guys. But it's fun to see it come to life.
So, yeah, it's probably, as you said, they're not hitting. There's no pads, so it's probably hard to get a clear evaluation of anybody. But did you zoom in? Did you key in on a couple of guys like Zabel or maybe like Jalen Milroe, who a lot of people are very curious about?
Yeah, Milroe looked great. I mean, he obviously is thrown against lesser competition, but he looked like he was totally in command. Didn't see him run or anything like that, which everybody's talking about that, but throws a nice ball. Yeah, and then
some zip on it.
Yep, and then you look at the offensive linemen. It was kind of interesting. They had Gray Zabel, Bryce Cabledew, and Mason Richmond. They're 76, 77, 78. They gave Hutch's number to Gray Zabel. But when you watch Zabel, he is just so balanced. Like it's almost like you can't tell looking at his lower body whether he's run blocking or pass blocking. He's just so balanced and steady. And like I said, my comp to him was Bruce Matthews, who was just, you couldn't beat him, couldn't get around him. So, those guys look good. And that's probably in those kinds of things is the easiest part to sort of recognize because you don't really know, the quality of that pass in the receiver. And, if a guy picks off a pass, sometimes it's a really crappy throw. And, because you have rookies out there. But if you look at the linemen and just look at their pad level, which they're not in pads, but you know what I mean? And then just their hips and their feet, that kind of stuff, that really shows up. And it just looks like this is going to be a much improved offensive line.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same without having seen that. I just feel like, these guys, whether they were young guys from last year, they got a year under their belt. Yeah. You got a new focus on it. You got a coach who's not being rushed. Last year, as you talked about at this time, everything felt kind of haphazard out there, people running everywhere. They were kind of like, I was always equated to cramming for a test. Like, okay, we got to get ready. We got to study. We got to get ready. They just didn't have the luxury of time having been here. Now they got a year under their belt, the coaching staff. You got a new coordinator. I'd be stunned if this O-line is not better. And I know that's not setting the bar very high because they weren't very good. But I expect, regardless of who the five are on that line, to be noticeably better. I'm not saying they're going to be elite, but I would be stunned if it looked like it did last year.
Yeah, no, I would too. And, I just think, it's kind of like what we talk about the Mariner offense. A lot of times it's just the message, right? The messaging, like, how do you do this? Like, your coach has a way that he wants a guy to play. How do you verbalize that? If he's no good at that, then it's not worth much.
Yeah.
Same thing with hitting and just what your approach is. And so, and it's cool to see 76, 77, 78, all those guys. They're all listed as guards. But don't forget about the guys that not only you have returning, but then also some of the young guys from last year, like Michael Jarrell. Yeah. Just Christian Haynes. I mean, Anthony Bradford.
Lamea.
Yeah. We'll see how much that really takes effect. But I think these offensive linemen are going to love playing for Benton. It just sounds like, first of all, he sounds kind of gruff and like, an old school. He sounds like Joe Sellers back at Worcester High.
Which immediately Dave said, I love this guy.
I love him.
I love him.
But like I said, he was screaming out, that's not even close. No, don't. I mean, he wasn't berating him, but it was like, no, that's not it. So very picky about that.